The following program has been brought to you in part by Sennheiser and the Airline Pilots Association.
On this episode, we'll tell you how ALPA is leading the industry when it comes to one level of safety, what it's like to lobby on the Hill for a day, and what U.S. city Emirates is flying into next and who financed the planes. All of this and more here on The Flight Deck. Hello, I'm Sharon Varab. Welcome to The Flight Deck. The Wall Street Journal reports that the FAA is exploring ways to certify certain electronic devices, such as iPads, as safe for use while airplanes are taking off and landing. The agency allows pilots to use iPads and other electronic flight bag devices for charts and manuals after extensive testing and certification. The agency says airlines can use that path to certify passenger devices. No changes will be made until it is certain that the devices will not impact the safety or security of the flight. The debate over funding the Export-Import Bank continues on the Hill. The Senate recently voted down a motion to proceed to an amendment to reauthorize the bank. But press reports indicate that, despite the vote, senators from both sides of the aisle support the bank's reauthorization in increasing its lending authority. ALPA is working diligently to amend the reauthorization to protect U.S. airline workers' jobs without putting the bank's ultimate reauthorization in jeopardy. ALPA hosted a Flight Time Duty Time conference in March, gathering labor, industry, and government representatives to discuss efforts to combat pilot fatigue. I had a chance to catch up with Captain Don Wyckoff, who explained the importance of the meeting.
And then when the rule finally came out, we thought we should retain that leadership position, bring all the stakeholders into a room and have a conversation on how we implement it, so that when it comes time on January 4th of 2014, we can truly turn this rule on and it'll be an effective rule. And we thought the most appropriate way is to continue our leadership of that.
Captain Wyckoff joined other industry experts in panel discussions, including NTSB's Deborah Hersman and FAA's John Duncan. This conference is just one way that ALPA is leading the industry in achieving one level of safety. This week, the EU reiterated that it intends on standing by its emissions trading scheme. This statement comes on the heels of several countries, including the U.S., Russia, China, and now India, opposing the controversial ETS. ALPA, also opposed to this additional tax, is working through IFALPA to seek assistance from ICAO to resolve the dispute. The association is actively lobbying Capitol Hill and the White House for resolution as well. Canada's government recently passed back-to-work legislation into the books. It was an extreme measure to stop a possible lockout of the country's largest airline, Air Canada. ALPA strongly opposes the government's interference and free collective bargaining and supports the pilots of Air Canada. Emirates extended its reach into the U.S. market this month with a Dulles-Dubai flight. Press reports say it's a trend that will continue. That means the Boeing 777s financed by American taxpayers through the EXIM Bank will fly into the U.S. in direct competition with our airline. ALPA Government Affairs is actively working on Capitol Hill to bring resolution to this subsidy issue. Have you ever wanted to walk the halls of Congress? We'll share one ALPA pilot's experience after the break.
From the first time I boarded a commercial plane as its pilot, I've embraced the responsibility I have to the safety of my passengers and crew. And I have the best flight gear, even the headset certified for commercial duty. It lets me concentrate on the task at hand, making this the safest flight my passengers will ever have.
The feature-packed HMEC 26 provides long wearing comfort and more than 18 dB of noise reduction. Try the HMEC 26 on your next flight and hear the difference for yourself.
Hi, I'm Craig from Arlington, Virginia. I'd like to ask a pilot a question. On long flights, say over 24 hours or more, how do you divide the duties between the pilot and the co-pilots?
Well, Craig, one pilot will be flying the airplane and navigating. The other pilot will be talking on the radio and assisting the other pilot with the navigation duties. On longer flights, there'll be also an additional crew member who will be there to relieve one pilot if they need a break.
As part of several calls to action led by the association, U.S. representatives in both the House and Senate have met with more than 200 ALPA pilots. FlightDeck correspondent Jesse Cornelius tagged along to take a look at what a typical day on the Hill can bring.
It's that last line of defense to sort of prevent what happened on September 11th.
Air Wisconsin Captain Brendan Cantwell is on Capitol Hill, fighting for a consistent level of safety for all pilots. He is one of 19 ALPA legislative coordinators who meet with members of Congress to talk about the issues that matter most to pilots. Today, Cantwell is visiting lawmakers at the Rayburn House Office Building with ALPA Government Affairs staff Elizabeth Baker and Carly Heppola. He's here to encourage funding support for the embattled Federal Flight Deck Officers Program, or FFDO. FFDOs provide an important last line of defense in air safety. The program deputizes eligible pilots to carry weapons in the cockpit. Thousands of pilots are currently enrolled in the program. All are volunteers. But the program is underfunded. It relies on pilots to pay for portions of their training and certification. Next year's budget proposal includes drastic cuts to the program that would put its future in peril.
It's a very good deal for the U.S. government. We feel it provides a big level of safety and security. They're going to cut that in half is the proposal. So we're sort of concerned that the program will die. As it stands now, there's a lot of pilots on the waiting list.
It's a message that will be taken to every representative over the next few months. Pilots have proven to be effective resources in educating lawmakers. ALPA legislative coordinators were part of the team that encouraged the FAA to overhaul flight time duty time rules for airline carriers. It's an issue they continue to push on the Hill for inclusion of cargo carriers.
When we come up here for important issues like flight time, duty time, there are several pilots in the halls of the Capitol in uniform a lot of times, and people start to take notice that if these pilots are here every day, sort of bringing the issues directly to the legislature, that it's an important issue and it's something we're concerned about. And so I think that really carries a strong message.
I'm Jesse Cornelius on the Flight Deck.
If you're interested in joining ALPA's lobbying efforts, please email governmentaffairs@alpa.org to find out how you can help. And if you don't have the time to make it to Washington, consider donating to the ALPA PAC. It's just one way to make your voice heard on the Hill. Visit alpa.org/ALPAPAC for the 3 ways you can donate today. Reacting quickly during an emergency is hardwired into airline pilots. So when an SUV struck 6-year-old Zach Drew at the St. Paul International Airport, it's only natural that a pilot was one of the first to respond. Delta Captain Rick West was heading for the terminal when he saw the driver plow into the young boy. Zach's extensive injuries landed him in the hospital during Christmas. Knowing Zach would spend the holidays in the hospital, Captain West worked with ALPA and the Pilots for Kids organization to make this Christmas one to remember. The pilots also set up a special wings fund for Zach's medical costs. The 6-year-old has since become a local celebrity as contributions and good wishes have poured in from across the country. If you're interested in donating, please refer to the information on the screen. Now it's time to watch and win. First, congratulations Jim Hay for making it to the next round. You were randomly selected from the correct entries from our last episode. Jim will be entered into our grand prize drawing later this year. Now on to today's question. What's the name of the Delta pilot who helped Zach Drew and his family after the accident? Visit our website to submit the answer for your chance to win. That's it for this episode of the Flight Deck. Thank you for watching. If you have any feedback, please let us know at FlightDeck@alpa.org. Thanks again, and I'll see you next month here on the Flight Deck.